Hello, tubers of the U type. So, I'm making a follow video to my one on the too shallow running crankbaits that I just got. Now, I don't have a large collection of crankbaits anymore. I used to have all manner of them, but I did them in the traditional, 70s, 80s knowledge level of using a crankbait. Oh, well, this water's this deep, so I'll throw this and it'll catch something. Fast forward about 20 years, and people have learned way more about how fish really work and why they hit a bait. So the different depths and everything with crankbaits has changed immensely. And I mean that literally. Like, when I was a teenager and my dad was using crankbaits all the time, it was either 8 to 10 foot or 15 to 40 feet. There was those levels. There was no shallow this. It was either top water or you were down in the water. Now they have wake baits, swim baits, shallow, mid-level, deep, ultra deep. There's some that go like 60 fucking feet and are like this fucking big. I know, I've got one in the swim bait. A build a swim bait. The thing's 10 inches long and 4 ounces. It's big ass fucking. No, it's more than that. It's like 8 ounces. The thing's freaking stupid. So, the two that I have are small. They're only about 2.5 inches, I believe, is what they are. So, going back to what they were, the first one is a KVD, and it is a 2.5, 3 to 5 foot diver, and the name of it is the Ratlin. That's the designation. This particular one is a HKVD R 2.5-520, or 590, which I expect is what they designate their sexy shad color, the 590. The other one I have is the Rapala Scatter Wrap, which is a 5 to 8 foot deep dive, but it's got the scatter lip, which is kind of a fold like this, and what it does is it does the wiggle, but then occasionally through the whole thing, it sides to side like a shad that's trying to escape. That triggers response in the fact that it's going and being evasive like they are when they're being chased. The big chief difference is the Ratlin from KVD, Strike King. And keep in mind, Strike King has brilliant crankbaits. They've been around for a long time. Great crankbaits. It has 2 massive knocker lead balls in it. Well, they may be steel. Some are lead, some are steel. I think they may actually be steel. But it has a loud, deep rattle to it. And because of the way that the head, I'll show you in a minute, the way the head is designed coming up over the lure and tapering off in the back, it gets that front end really hard. And those knockers throw it as well. It's almost like having something gyroscope and making movement become extra. It enhances the whole flavor of the meal, so to speak. And it's got such a pronounced back to it that it just has this wiggle to it and this knock that just pulls in crazy. And it is a true shallow runner. It's only 3 to 5 foot. So that's really good for the super shallow that I'm looking to do. And then the funny thing is that the Rapala one, it says 5 to 8 foot, but the bill's actually smaller. It's that it's shallower and more in line with the body, and I think the way that it scoops is what brings it down a little bit further. These will be fished on 12-pound Sunline FC Sniper, so they'll have the diameter of the 12, but they have the neutral, the negative buoyancy of fluorocarbon, basically. So they sink. So they will still go down to about 3/4 of what their range is. So to me, they really are going to be a true shallow runner. And they are on a 7-foot, medium-heavy, fast-action Ducket Ghost. Ducket Ghost is the bottom of their micro-guide line. But I have a 7-to-1 ratio Shimano Chronarch with a 12-pound suffix on it. 12-pound Sunline. I always get Suffix and Sunline mixed. I don't know why the fuck I do that. But anyway, it's my reaction rod, my standard reaction rod. I have 3 main crankbait rods. I have my one for multiple purpose reaction baits, which is that one. I call it White Lightning because it's all white. No, it was not a conscious decision. The reel came in white. They didn't have black as a choice. They didn't have chrome either. I'd have shined it up with some chrome, but they didn't want that. So the other 2 I have are both black swim bait rods. One is an Okuma Swim Bait Select Guide in a 7'11" extra heavy. It's not a mega extra heavy, just an extra heavy. It gives me some flex in the tip. I can throw up to 8-ounce swim baits. It's good for real heavy crankbaits, but it's a heavy rod. And that has a Abu Garcia Aura winch in, I think, a 5-4 to 1. It's a fairly low ratio. The other one I have is a Tackle Industries 7-foot muskie rod that's rated for up to 150-pound line and up to 3-pound lures. It's my catfish rod, basically, or my throwing a 10 to 14-inch swim bait rod is what it amounts to. I have a loose speed cast round reel that has a 5-4 to 1 ratio. I want to have a medium slow ratio. I don't want too slow a ratio. I don't go with the crowd when it comes to things like that. Before I had the Luz, I had a Abu Garcia Kalex, which is a great reel in its own right. But I pickled one of the parts when I was maintaining it, and then I ended up having to buy another one. And I put the good upgrade parts that I had bought and the good parts in it, and put it together with the other Kalex I had bought, and put it on an ugly stick catfish rod for my friend. So I side graded to this new one. Tackle Industries is a company that will take blanks for ocean rods and make heavy duty bass and muskie rods for that, or inshore rods as well. There's another one that I'm looking at from them, which is actually cut down from a shark rod from 12 foot to 9 foot that handles up to like 4-pound lures and can handle up to like 400-pound line. It's stupid what it is. Great swim bait rod because it's still got flex to the rod, or a flathead rod. Good Lord, would it be a good flathead rod? But going back to these crankers, to me, the only thing Rapala doesn't do correctly to me is the eyes. They're always painted eyes. I've yet to see one of their standard balsa cranks that they couldn't have at least sculpted the side of the head and put glue-in eyes. So here's the Strike King. You'll notice the pronounced yellow line. You know, most threadfin have kind of a yellow line to them, but it's not that pronounced. This is just to throw a little more edge in the water, basically. But look at the eyes. See, these are the glued-in ones, and they stay for a while because they're glued with really good adhesive, by the way. And even when they get out, you can buy eyes to stick in there. The realism in eyes in a crankbait is a very important thing. This is one of the reasons I don't fish Bagleys ever, because they have the stupid eyes in the front here, and they look ugly to me. I don't know how they catch fish. I really do not honestly know how they catch fish. To me, they don't look realistic in any fucking respect, and I refuse to use them. The only non-Strike King or Rapala or Rebel crank, some of the Berkeley ones I will use, but I have a Storm Wigglewort. I love the Wiggleworts because they have a medium range of 8 to 12 foot, depending on the size, and they just have this wiggle that no other crankbait will ever have. I miss the balsa ones, and if you find them, I've seen them as much as $800 for a mint when it's still in the box. I'm not paying that, even though I love the balsa ones, because the plastic ones are like $9. So, you know, granted, they've gone to ABS. Most people have, except for Rapala. They still do things in balsa. Now, this one does have rattles in it, but they're very, very faint. It's the scoop of the lip. See how it kind of folds up and back? But it even has a scoop to it here. So what it's doing is it's directing the water, and this thing is doing the wiggle, but then it's doing this, and this, and this, consistently, making it go, hey, I'm scared, come eat me. Where this one goes like a bulldog through the water, basically, has this big wiggle to it, real tight in the back, knocking all over the place, and says, I'm not afraid of you, fuck you, come and get me. Those are basic methods, the same thing in that water range of 5 to 8 foot I want for these cranks, because in the pond that I typically fish, I've been getting consistently from 2 to 10 pound bass. And this is no joke. The reason I don't post the huge bass that I get on either my Fish Brain or YouTube or Facebook is because I don't want people coming to where it's at and destroying the fishery. I mean, I don't mind people knowing certain things, and I really don't brag about specific spots that much, but this pond is dynamic, and there's enough people that know it that it's good enough for them to know, and that's it. I'm just glad that there's enough baitfish to cover everybody that ever fishes there. But this is the reason that I'm fishing these crankbaits, because now the game in shallow water is different. There's one from Mega Bass that I almost picked up today. I just don't have the income to spend $25 on one crankbait. But the thing is, like, it's like this big. It's this big, massive, fat, wide bulldog thing with big fucking rattles in it. And a square bill. And it only goes, like, I think, 3 to 8 feet max. That's what I want to throw on my heavy rod. Because that's one of those ones that has enough presence in the water that it will get a huge fish to strike. And there are some that are well over 12 pounds in that. Like, I've seen bust the surface on shad. I've actually seen a 14 come out of there, live action in front of my eyes. The biggest I've gotten out of there was 11 and a half. But these are more of the mid-sized line for the typical 2 to 5 pound bass, which is what I'm primarily looking for. Yeah, I want to get a big bass, but if I'm getting 2 to 5 pound bass, I'm having fun, right? So this is the KVD tournament grade, the Rattling. It has the spot in the average area that they do. It's got that more pronounced. It's got the sparkly in the back. It's got that shape, that torpedo-y shape that makes that action. It's got size 2 hooks on it. This has size 4, I believe. This one thing about the only thing about the Rapalas, besides the eyes I don't like, is the fact that they have great hardware. It's just small. I don't know if they're trying to finesse it or what. I'll probably change the hooks out. I have on a couple other things. But their paint job itself is really nice, great. It's just a stupid eyes. They really need to start doing stick-on eyes or glue in with a post. There's even some eyes that I've seen that they handmade lures that people have taken, the ones that the people use for flies, where they tie them onto the head of a hook, have taken them and chopped them and drilled tiny holes in the side of the balsa ones that they're making and glued them all the way in, and they look phenomenal. There's a couple of people that make them like that and put them on eBay that I'm definitely picking up. I've not been in the pure crankbait game for a long time because I've been doing a lot of swim baits and jerk baits. When jerk baits are cranks, they're just very, very specific type of method. And all of mine are suspenders. So 4 to 5 foot, they sit at that level and you flick them. Deadly in its own way, but you have to know that it's a dynamic that the fish are hitting. These ones I'm hoping will do me that in-between justice, because this pond has shad all over it, and these are definitely in that vein of look. So I'm going to try them out and give a report card, which I actually said in the other video as well, but I'm reiterating here. I'm going to see what these do. They both have their own ways of doing the same thing. One says, come and get me, I'm not scared of you, fuck you. He's like the Irish soccer fan. Then the other one's like, oh fuck, I'm scared, I'm going to get eaten. So we'll see which one works better. I think they all have their place in some way, and that's why people, when they get big tackle boxes of all these crankbaits, they can go and say, hey, I've got one for this situation. And I know a couple of people that they only use crankbaits, period, for every single thermocline they fish in. Whether it's slow, medium, fast, deep, shallow, they know it all when it comes to crankbaits. I just don't have that time to dedicate to that one specific technique. I use many techniques. My favorite is slow swim baits. They draw strikes from the largest of fish in the territory. And I've done a video already on swim baits, so I'm not going to delve any further into that because I've got a lot of information in that particular one. But I'm going to see what it goes, and I'll give a report on how they work.